Hey, what up? It's Carter from the Peekaboo Boxing Academy, and today I want to drop some fucking knowledge bombs on you on how to go from being like this guy on the left to this guy on the right. How to going from having basically little to no self-confidence when it comes to your boxing ability, or really just when it comes to anything in life, to actually being able to have a magnet, so to speak, that's going to pull you towards success and almost kind of make it easy for you compared to what you're doing now, which is clawing and fighting your way to that goal that you have, whatever it is, whether it's being a world champion boxer, whether it's just being a successful amateur, whether it's just feeling like a proud human being, somebody who, you know, can be admired, somebody who can be looked up to. Whatever your goal is, these simple little knowledge bombs that I'm going to drop on you today are going to take you from zero to hero if you can properly apply them. And they are basically distilled down golden nuggets of information that I've collected over 10 plus years of studying boxing history, right? From studying Mike Tyson and Cus D'amato, who's a master psychologist, master hypnotist, from just being a young boy and just staying up late with boxing encyclopedias, studying all of the great champions and trainers in boxing from the early 1900s all the way to the present day. This is the stuff that counts right here, and today we're going to be going into all of it. So, as always, lock in, and let's crack into it.
An fighter is going to learn how to hit and not get hit, at the same time be excited. That's what professional boxing is. You got to be clever, you got to be smart, and not get hit. And when you're able to do this, you're a fighter.
All right, so what is the one thing that separates you, the guy on the left who feels like shit, who feels mediocre, who doesn't maybe have all the confidence, or it just is inconsistent? What separates you and the world champion who is consistent, who is just on the top of his game, and who is mentally unstoppable, right? So I thought a good way to lead into this would be to first read a quote. And it's a quote from Cus D'amato's gravestone. And maybe I'll pop up a photo right now of me at Cus's grave from about a year ago. So here's how it goes. A boy comes to me with a spark of interest. I feed the spark and it becomes a flame. I feed the flame and it becomes a fire. I feed the fire and it becomes a roaring blaze. Cus D'amato. So, what is the roaring blaze? The roaring blaze that Cus D'amato created, that process that Cus D'amato was talking about, is creating deep identity level change. All right? And that is the difference between you, right? The guy who's inconsistent, the guy who isn't confident, the guy who, you know, you have one part of you that wants to be successful, but then you have this other part of you that just feels, it's basically like a ceiling of success that's stopping you from getting to that next level that you know you're capable of. It separates you and this guy, the guy with deep identity level change, right? He's gone through a transformation that you simply haven't gone through, right? So what does this guy possess in terms of the specific elements, right? He has great willpower regulation. He has basically activated his winner effect, or, you know, another way to say that is he's basically in positive momentum. And the other thing is that he has a positive self-image or a success magnet, which that deep identity level change has created in him. You, on the other hand, you're fighting yourself constantly, you know, in whatever pursuit, in whatever goal you're pursuing. You know, being a successful amateur, being a world champion, you know, you're fighting yourself and you have no willpower regulation. So basically, you're just never going to be like this guy if you keep doing what you're doing, right? So I want to kind of break these down individually into their own points. So willpower, that's the first thing, right? So you only have so much willpower in any given day, right? You only have so much willpower. And listen, this video, by the way, it's not for, you know, the person who wants to, it's not for the person who simply just thinks to themselves, oh, I'm just going to go on a run today so that I can get in shape. It's easy to get up and go for a run. This is not for the person who's like, just wants the simple tutorial videos. This is specifically for the person who knows that there's more to themselves and they just can't figure out why they keep bumping into a wall, why they keep hitting a ceiling, or why they're so inconsistent, right? So, you know, I love that saying of like, you either want to be a fighter or you don't. But I also think that a lot of talent gets left at the door because that advice just doesn't meet people where they're at. Because there are some people that really do want to fight and really do want to succeed, but they just can't get there because they don't understand these things, right? So willpower. You only have so much willpower in any given day, right? When you want to get up at 4 in the morning and go on a run, that requires a lot of willpower, right? It requires a lot of willpower. When you want to go in and hit a hard workout, at the boxing gym, that requires willpower. Maybe you work a full-time job. Maybe you're exerting willpower there. Maybe you have things going on in your life that you're constantly thinking about, and that's exerting your willpower. That's shortening, or it's spreading your focus thin, so to speak, right? You're not managing your willpower the same way that somebody who's successful in boxing is, like a real fighter. You're not managing your willpower the same way. Your brain and that guy's brain, or that girl's brain, totally different, right? Because they know how to manage their willpower, right? So this is the thing. You have to learn how to get yourself into a flow. If you feel like you're inconsistent, if you feel like you just haven't quite hit your stride in terms of your discipline, it's because you don't know how to manage willpower and you don't know how to get into a flow so that discipline becomes easy, right? You still need discipline. Sometimes you're not going to feel like doing things, but for this guy to go on a run, it's easy compared to you. To you, if you're inconsistent, if you're struggling with that. For this guy, it's easy to go hit a crazy workout. It's easy to do 2,000 sit-ups a day. For you, it takes a lot more willpower because you haven't wired that habit into your synaptic pathways in your brain. You haven't made it easy for yourself to do that, right? So willpower regulation is huge, and what it comes down to is this. Let's say that you have 10 willpower in a given day, right? Okay, I'm going to get up early in the morning and I'm going to take a cold shower. I'm going to go on a run. That takes willpower. Let's say that takes 3 willpower. Boop. Now you're down to 7. You have 7 willpower left. Now you're going to go work your shift, or now you're going to go to school all day. Now you're going to think about things. Now you're going to have stress. Now, whatever your life looks like. That also depletes willpower, right? Boom. Willpower gets even lower. Then you want to go to the gym and you want to hit a hard workout, and for some reason you just cannot push it out of yourself. Or maybe you do your runs later in the evening and for some reason you just can't push the run out of yourself. You just cannot do it. Like, you've heard it 1,000 times, like discipline is doing what you hate, or doing what you hate like you love it. You've heard that 1,000 times. That's a great saying by Cus D'amato. But for some reason that's just not working for you. And it's because you don't have the willpower to actually do the thing. Because you haven't managed it yet. So here's the key for when it comes to being consistent in your workouts and your schedule, when it comes to boxing, when it comes to really anything in life. Here's the key to just becoming consistent. It's to basically stop relying on all of this willpower to do it, and instead shifting your identity, creating deep identity level change so that it's easy for you to go do the thing, right? For this guy, it doesn't take a ton of willpower for him to get up and go for a run because he just views himself as, I'm just the type of guy that gets up and goes for a run. I'm just the type of guy that, does 2,000 sit-ups. It's easy for him to make that choice. He doesn't have to exert a lot of willpower. The other thing is that likely he's made it a habit. You see, until you can basically create a habit in your brain, and I got this from the book Atomic Habits by James Clear, until you can, make something a habit, you have to exert a lot of willpower to do it, right? So your problem is that you haven't built a habit yet when it comes to your workouts, when it comes to, whatever you want to do, your workouts, your diet. You haven't created a habit yet. So you're exerting all this willpower and then you get burnt out and then you wonder why. It's because you're exerting so much fucking willpower, right? So how do you make it easy? First of all, you have to have the discipline to just fucking do it, right? For a certain set amount of days. And what that's going to do is it's going to make it a habit. It's going to make it easy for you to do it because it's not going to take, once it wires in as a habit, it's no longer difficult to do. It's easy to get up and do the thing, right? For you, it's actually a lot harder, like I said, to go on that run or to do that insane workout than it is for the world champion in terms of your mental capacity to exert your will and to actually go ahead and do the thing, right? So for you have to create that deep identity level change. You have to make it a habit. You have to make it so that you don't have to exert a lot of willpower. And then what happens is you start to slowly view yourself as like, oh no, I'm just the guy that gets up and runs at 4 in the morning. I'm just the guy that goes the extra mile in the gym, that gives it my all in the gym. Right now, there's half of you that wants to win, but the other half of you is like, I'm just not that guy. I'm just not the guy that gives it his all. I'm not the guy that is just a winner. Winning's for the other people. It's not for me. And I'm not talking about what you consciously believe, because I know that if you're boxing, if you're taking on this difficult task, you're hyping yourself up. Like, no, I can do anything. Like, anything's possible. It's a great start, but then you have to learn how your brain works so that you can engineer your path to success instead of fighting against yourself, right? You have to look at what you think deep down. That's your identity. That's your self-image. And that's going to influence your ability to go and do these difficult things, which set the world champion and the average guy apart, right? So that's where you have to start. You have to learn willpower regulation. So what does that mean? You have to learn how to build a habit. But those first couple days of building that habit are very difficult. If you want to get up every morning and run, if you want to give it your all in the gym, every single workout, those things that are going to make you a world champion one day, that are going to make you a monster in the amateurs when you start competing, to do that stuff, you have to, to push all that out of you, you have to get the habit down. You have to create the deep identity level change. But to basically start doing it, it can be difficult, like I said, because you're exerting all that willpower. So what do? You learn how to play chess with yourself. That's the first thing. You learn how to play chess with yourself. I call it playing chess with yourself. And basically, it means that you know yourself better than anyone. So you have to basically beat yourself to the punch when it comes to procrastination and when it comes to not giving it your all, right? So for example, if you struggle with getting up and going for a run every single morning, and even though there's a part of you that wants to so badly, but there's this other part that's just pulling you back. If you want to go do that, you have to beat yourself to the punch. Okay, so how do I make it easy for myself to get up and run in the morning? Maybe you're the type of person who, when you wake up, you roll over, you grab your phone, you start looking at your phone, then you spend 30 minutes in bed, then you go back to sleep. You know that if you do that move, you're not going to get up and run. So what's the first thing? Okay, maybe I set my phone halfway across the room, right? Maybe I set my phone halfway across the room, right? Then what's the next thing? Okay, but I'm probably going to go sit on my bed, and then I'm just not going to end up doing it. I'm going to get tired and fall back asleep. Okay, so maybe you set your phone across the room, and then the next step is you jump into a cold shower immediately, right? So that you can really wake yourself up. And you know that if you don't do that move, that you're just going to get tired. You're going to fall right back to sleep. You're not going to do it, right? So it's like engineering these little moves where you know that you couldn't fail if you wanted to, and where if you just follow through with those simple little things, you couldn't fail if you wanted to. That's how it starts. That's called playing chess with yourself. And that comes to any goal that you're having a difficult being consistent with. Now, once you start doing it a couple times, and you do it a couple times in a row, and you'll falter and you'll fall off, now you're going to slowly start to identify as the person who does that thing that you want to do. Oh, I'm just the type of guy or girl that gives it my all in the gym. I'm just the type of guy or girl that gets up and runs at 4 in the morning. I'm just the type of person that does XYZ thing. You're going to start to take on that identity. And what you're going to find is that it now takes less and less willpower to do the thing. So, I gave that like gross oversimplification of you have 10 willpower in a day, and in the morning to get up on that run, it takes 3 willpower. Okay, well now it's just going to take half a point of your willpower once you start making that shift in your identity, and now it becomes easy for you to do it, right? So remember, you don't want to think, oh my God, it's so hard now. How am I ever going to get to that level? No. This level is easier than what you're doing in ways, right? For you, you're fighting against yourself. For this guy, his identity is like a cog in a machine that is just going full blast, right? He's had that deep identity level change. For you, you have to shift identities. You have to completely eradicate that part of yourself that doesn't want success. And it starts with building the habits, being consistent, playing chess with yourself, beating yourself to the punch so that you make it impossible for you to fail. And then you build those small habits and you become 1% better every day. And like I said, you will fall off sometimes. But you know deep down, oh, I'm getting better. Oh, I was more consistent this week. Oh, I went more consistently for longer this week. Oh, I did it longer and longer. And now you're slowly starting to shift your deep identity. And now the habit process is going to become automatic. Oh, I'm just the type of guy that gets up and does that. Oh, I'm just the type of person that, you know, goes and does this. Oh, when I spar, I'm just the type of person that just gives it all. I just leave it all out there. That takes deep identity level change to do, okay? And you have to build the habits first, right? So that's the first thing, is willpower regulation, building habits, creating that change in yourself. Now, what is the other thing that, you know, is really important when it comes to being this guy, when it comes to being that successful version of yourself, when it comes to being that world champion, having that world champion mentality that so many world champion fighters do, and just world champion athletes in general? What they have done is they've activated their winner effect, and they're in positive momentum. So what do I mean? You go to the gym, you have some good nights, you have some bad nights, you don't always feel confident, you're constantly procrastinating on things and you're not consistent, so you're letting yourself down, and that takes from your confidence even more, because deep down you know that you're really not that person. So then you can't perform at the top of your ability, right? That's you. This person, what they've done is they basically have engineered a situation, or they've been lucky enough to be in a situation or in a boxing gym and to have the right mentors, right? To have the right mentors, to where they are basically following the formula: confidence breeds success, success breeds confidence. That's the winner effect. If you're going into the gym and you're learning from the right people, right? Boxing, you know, Cus D'amato, he has a quote, and it goes, basically he's saying, I take a fighter, and, you know, when he's first getting hit, it's very intimidating. So what do I have to do? I have to teach him how to not get hit. And when he's not getting hit, then he's no longer intimidated, and then boxing becomes fun, right? He's getting confidence. His brain is getting flooded with dopamine. He's feeling good about himself. And what does this do? It basically, you know, if you're pushing that boulder up the hill, basically what you're doing by getting that first little, you know, those first wins under your belt, is you are activating the winner effect. You're pushing that boulder over the hill, and now it's rolling down. And what happens? You know, you're getting the right coaching, you're getting the right mentoring, you're actually succeeding in the ring, you're actually learning the right shit, instead of just going in there and just having terrible mentors, terrible coaches, right? And by the way to tell the difference between a good mentor and a bad one when it comes to boxing, how do I know? Oh, well, how do I know if my coach is good or bad? Do they explain to you why you're doing what you're doing? Do they actually have intellectual conversations with you? And do they actually know you at a deep level? Or are they just a cheerleader, just shouting little tips at you, just telling you, oh, just jab, jab? Are they actually explaining to you everything in detail, and are they taking you slow so that you can build your confidence, instead of just throwing you to the wolves and seeing if you make it or don't? No, you have to build your confidence first. That's how you gain access to your boxing ability, which I'm going to get to next. You actually gain access to more of your boxing ability and more of your prowess in there when you get that confidence. But you need that first set of wins first. You need to get that confidence first. So that comes down to getting the right mentors, getting the right teachers when you're in the gym, right? And when you can do that, when you can learn how to do the things, you know, how to box correctly, whether you're learning the peekaboo style, like what I teach, or if you're just learning your own boxing style or some other type of boxing style, you have to get this down. You have to get the right mentors. You have to get the right mentors, right? So once you're starting to see some, you know, success, once you've got the willpower regulation down and you're being consistent, you're in good shape, and now you're getting good tips from the coaches, your mentors, you're actually, you know, learning good technical training. Now you're going to start seeing success, and it's going to activate your winner effect. And, you know, success breeds confidence, confidence breeds success. It's a snowball effect. So this guy, it's easier for him to succeed because he's been experiencing this for years probably. His brain's been getting flooded with, I'm the shit, I'm the shit, I'm the shit, I'm the best, constantly. And so for him, it's easy for him to go in there and to be playful in his sparring. It's easy for him to go on, you know, to go in the ring and put on a master class during one of his fights, if he has the mental fortitude for it, right? because he's constantly been getting the dopamine. He's constantly been getting those positive feedback points from his experiences with boxing, whereas you haven't, right? So you have to learn how to activate your winner effect, and that starts with getting the right mentors, right? And it also, you need to be consistent so that you have the confidence deep down. You need to have the identity of a winner, not the identity of a loser, not the identity of half a fighter, as they call it in boxing, right? So the other big, the other big block when it comes to being this guy versus this guy is having that positive self-image, which is also, you could see it as a success magnet, right? And this does two things for you, which are massive, okay? So the first thing is that if you have a positive self-image, and this is Cus D'amato psychology right here, by the way. If you have a positive self-image, you quite literally have more access to your ability when it comes to boxing. The guy who views himself as like a chump, even though he might technically be able to beat the guy that he's fighting, he might actually know more about boxing. If somebody comes in and they just have more will as opposed to skill, if they just have more confidence, they'll actually beat that guy who views himself as a chump. Because here's what's happening. The guy who views himself as a chump, he's getting intimidated. And when you're intimidated, you freeze up and you cannot perform at your full ability anymore, right? So intimidation, it inhibits your ability quite literally to perform as a boxer. You can't perform the same as this guy right here. You literally can't. You have a ceiling of success. You have a ceiling of success that you're hitting. This guy, he doesn't have that because he has these elements in here, right? So that positive self-image, it literally unlocks more of his ability. And like I said, it bleeds into the rest of the shit. Oh, you have more ability? What's going to happen? Oh, now you're going to perform better in the ring, and now your winner effect's going to go up, and the snowball is going to get larger. Your confidence is going to grow even more. You're going to get positive momentum. You're going to be on a fucking roll. You're going to be in a flow. Maybe you take a loss here or there, but still, you know who you are. You have that deep identity level change, right? You're still in a flow versus the guy who's inconsistent, the guy who views himself as being down here, or even the guy who's mediocre, right? So positive self-image makes you a better boxer in terms of your ability, but also positive self-image, you can view it as a success magnet. The guy who has a healthy relationship with himself, and I'm not saying that all world champion fighters do because they don't, right? Let's be real, they don't. But the guy who does have a positive relationship with himself, a positive self-image, he doesn't need to fight for success. He feels inspired towards success, right? He doesn't need to fight against himself. No, he has a positive self-image. Again, he's had that deep identity level change. So instead of fighting against himself and trying to just claw his way to success, no, he feels inspired to take action. He feels inspired to actually be at the top. He feels inspired to go places in life. Deep down, he has that success magnet. He has that self-image that, is constantly on repeat every day, because the self-image, it is within the subconscious, right? If we take the iceberg example, 10%, that's your conscious mind, right? That's what you think. Oh, I can be the best. I'm the best. I'm the best. That's your conscious mind. The 90% is your subconscious. That's what you really think deep down. Not what you tell yourself, what you really think deep down, right? And that's where the self-image lies. And the self-image is basically the big wheel that's turning constantly throughout your day that is allowing you to succeed or not succeed. Again, if you view yourself as down here, if you view yourself like this, you're not going to be able to go on the runs. You're not going to be able to go do the things. You're not going to be able to give it all in the gym. You're not going to be able to make use of your full boxing ability. You're going to get intimidated. You're going to feel scared. You're going to feel just completely just boxed up, bottled up. Your ability is going to be stifled. Your ability to succeed is going to be stifled, right? So you need to do the deep inner work and change the self-image. You need to get the positive self-image, right? That's going to be your success magnet. Then, like I said, it's easy to go up here. It's easy to fight and perform well. It's easy to want to be successful. He's not fighting against himself. It's easy for him to go and do those things because he has that positive self-image, all right? So this is what it comes down to, and this stuff is going to go over a lot of people's heads, And again, this is a much more fleshed out look at the psychology of just winning. When it comes to boxing and when it just comes to shit in general, whatever you want to do, this is a much more fleshed out, diagram of what that looks like if you actually want to get there. You can sit up and you can listen to motivational quotes all night. You can, if you don't have that confidence, if you don't know how to do these things right here, it doesn't matter. Your ceiling of success, your ceiling of success is still going to be active. All right? So, what do you need to do? You need to learn how to play chess with yourself. You need to get the right mentors. You need to build the right habits. And you need to shift identities entirely so that you can become this guy right here. So, instead of fighting against yourself, fuck that. Instead of bumping up into the ceiling of success, dissolve the ceiling entirely and just win. All right? So, again, maybe not the most popular advice in boxing. A lot of trainers are going to say, hey, you either want to be a fighter or you don't. I agree with that. At the end of the day, it just comes down to that. Do you want to be a fighter or not? But again, I think that a lot of talent gets left at the door because people don't understand these golden nuggets of their own psychology. They don't understand how to engineer a pathway to success to where they couldn't fail if they wanted to. Instead of, they don't know how to do that. Rather, they want to just claw to success, their way to success when they have a shitty self-image that's pulling them back, not realizing that they only have so much willpower and that they're just going to get burnt out. And then they wonder why they're inconsistent, right? So these are the things that I really believe are going to take you there. And these are the things that over my, decade plus of experience being involved in boxing, I think are going to take you to the promised land, past the smoking wreckage of all the people that say that they want to be a world champion, right? This is the stuff that actually matters. But this cannot just be another video that you watch, right? You have to have urgency. The time has to be now, right? You want to become that person, you want to step into that new identity. It's not easy. But it does get easier if you can start today. All right? So thank you so much for being here today. I plan on shooting into, many more videos in the coming weeks on how to do the Peekaboo boxing style, more about the psychology of success. But this right here, it's as solid of a foundation as you'll ever hear about or ever see or come across. So please take it to heart, not for me, but for you and your success. All right? So I will catch you guys in the next video. Again, thank you for being here and wish you the best in your boxing journey.